Hi everyone, today I want to show you how to create a meadow of flowers. Now, meadow of flowers generally means a variety of wildflowers that are growing naturally on like a field or like a flat land, and that is what I had in mind when I created this look. So for this illustration here, I have used 3 of my wildflower stamps. So this is the Wildflower collection, and this is the wax flower, which is the pink one. Then we have the buttercup, which is the yellow, and then I have lavender, which is naturally either pink or purple or somewhere there in between. I have stamped it out in this teal color, which again you can completely change the colors up. Someone from my viewers commented in fact today that the buttercup from their origin is actually pink, which is just amazing. So yeah, you can do whatever you want, whichever colors you want. You don't have to stick to the botanical representations. You can really just go wild with it, pun unintended. So today I'm going to do the same thing with the pansy. I will create a meadow out of pansy. So if you know, pansy comes in different colors, different varieties. Mini pansies, the regular pansies, the very extra large pansies. What I love about them, they look like they have little faces and they're just super adorable. I have a soft spot for pansies, and it's a flower that's actually quite close to my heart. This is a bit of a homage to my granny. Okay, so for this I will use my acrylic block, this round one. Pansy is actually one flower out of those wildflowers that fits in perfectly. The others are slightly longer. They're about a centimeter longer, so they don't fit entirely onto the block, but this one does. And so what I'm going to do now is also use a distress ink. So let's do that. So it's going to be like a border, like a meadow border, or frame for your page. So you could do journaling here if you prefer, or you could go ahead and do the face. I'm not going to do the face today, just want to show you how to create the border, because if you want to also create the face, that takes quite a bit of time to finish everything up, because it's like a finished piece of art, you know. So it's not a quick job really. So then what I'm going to do next is create a slightly taller. So I'm going to raise it a bit higher up. And then you can see I have a bit of space right here. So I'm just going to stick one flower like that. And if you have a little space here, you might twist it and get a bit of, just basically play around with it, and whatever you can get in, just get it in. Use the space. It doesn't matter if it's not straight, if it's straight. The whole point is just to play and fill up the space, that's it. Okay, so then we're going to also raise this one a little bit higher actually, and I might still be able to put these 2 in here. The round acrylic block is so convenient because it's so easy to just move things around and choose on spot what you want to do with it. So there we go. Okay, I think that looks quite nice. Or I might as well, yes, I want to raise it slightly higher here, but what I'm going to do there is I'm not going to stamp the entire image of it. It's just hanging off the page like that. That looks really pretty, and I might just make it sit right above it. Above the flower here, so it's kind of hiding it. So you could, if you wanted to, really create it all the way up here and just leave like an oval space here to journal or do any illustrations or anything like that. But I will leave it here, and then if you want to change it up a little bit, you can do that. Okay, so this is my way of cleaning up the Tattered rose, which is just perfect because it's minimal cleaning and maximum pleasure, I'd say. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to outline everything. I will speed up the lining out process just because I find it so therapeutic. I don't want you to fall asleep. So, but I will keep you there for the coloring in part, which I think is super exciting. I love the coloring in. Alright, so let's crack on with the lining out. Okay, so if you're new to this sort of process, make sure you use a waterproof ink. So this is the Platinum Carbon ink, and the pen is also from Platinum Carbon ink. And it's super fine, so it's my #1 pen to go to. So I'm going to start probably from here and going to the right, so from the left to the right. So here I want to show you something what you sometimes need to do. So in this case, you can see this pansy is kind of hovering in the air. So all you do is just connect it down there to the bottom of the page, and so is here. This one is hiding is behind that pansy, and it kind of looks a little bit lost. So what I would do is just continue the line so that it doesn't look like it's just stuck there. It all has to kind of come down to the bottom. Same thing with this one. So if this one is going down here, I would just bring it down like that. And that is our lining out part done. Now you can go ahead and do the coloring. So for that, I would recommend to do, like, take a few pictures from, just Google a few pictures, or if you have any botanical art books, then have a look at different varieties of pansies and then go ahead and color them in. So today I'm going to do a few variations. So I'm going to do some of the yellow pansies and some of the purples and a couple of the mixed colors, because the wild pansies, they're called the tricolor viola, and tricolor means that they have 3 colors in them. So that is what I will do. Okay. Just tidying up my desk a little bit. I will definitely have that naphthalene maroon out just because I really like it. So let's go ahead. In fact, I'll squeeze out just a little more. I should talk about this watercolor a little bit and sort of do a swatch like I used to do for new colors that I would add to my collection. I might do that actually in one of the next videos. Okay, so what I have here is, let's just start somewhere. So instead of thinking, let's just do a bit of creating. So let's start with the yellow. Typically I like to leave a highlight in my watercolor illustrations, but that's just my style. That's what I quite like. Not everyone has the same style. So if you wanted to create a bit more depth while the watercolor is still dry, you just touch this yellow in a few places. Sorry if it's a bit off frame. And that's how you get your yellow done. So I probably would recommend to mix them up. I mean, in nature, they, you know, if it's a yellow flower, it's a yellow flower, but they would also have sort of yellow siblings. But in this case, I think I'm just going to mix it up just a tiny little bit to create some interest, because I want it to be like colorful and happy. To me, pansies are happiness. They're just so, they look like little happy faces, don't they? So that's what I want to create here as well. Again, dabbing in some of this mix into here and there. You can also do that with a neighboring flower, just to break it up a little. And then this one I want to have nice and purple, so I've got this purple here. If you're interested in what colors I'm using, so that I don't tell you for every single color as I go, because I kind of concentrate on the watercoloring and then I forget to do that. So you can have a look. There is a link always for a few palettes that I have. There is a link for the for this palette, which I don't even remember what it is called now. There's one which is candy palette and the other one is like a face palette or something. So there's a link for this one and a link for this one, which I created first. So this was the first customized palette I created. This was the second, so it's got different colors, and then this was the third one. So all links down below if you enjoy watching people putting their watercolor palettes together and all that, then I think you'll enjoy that video. So have a look, and then I'm going to go into the green now, and I have some lovely mixes here ready for me to use, and that's what I'm going to do. So again, pick the color palette as it's sort of suitable to you. If you are more in a cheerful mood, or if you are doing this illustration at a certain time of the year that maybe the colors are muted, try it in a different color palette and see how you get on. And then a little bit of green on here. These little bits are so delicate and pretty. So I would make sure to make this green slightly different on every one of those, but you get the idea. So we've got our first cluster ready, and by making them slightly different colors, hopefully they don't look like just, you know, one stamp set stamped and that is done. So we're going to try and confuse the eye and make it look like we're using different colors here. So now I'm going to go into that Naphthalite Maroon, which is beautiful, and I'm going to start with this top flower here. and I'm going to try and water it out towards the center so you can still see that black little heart there, and just add a bit of watercolor here and there, and then just with a bit of water okay. And then I'm going to mix that with a bit of purple from the color that I used before and see what we get. So it should be a bit more of a muted purple. It's not bright enough for me, so I'm just going to mix up a bit more of an intense color. These two colors are quite, so the cobalt blue violet and the, what was it, naphthalene maroon, they're quite dominant, so they cancel out each other very quickly. As soon as you put more of the other, they just take over. So to mix a color in between, you have to work at it. So because I have two purples here, I don't want this corner to be too dark. What I'm going to do next is this baby flower. I will make it yellow, so a bit more, color there, like lighter color. Now with the naphthalene maroon, I like it at its deepest, as I said it before. The color really shifts when it dries, so if you do one layer, it's just not, for me, like, it doesn't look great. But at its most intense, I love it. So I'm going to just blend out a couple of these. Like that, and then maybe just add a little bit more while it's still wet, right at the bottom of the petals, and here as well. Okay, so that's looking more like what I want it to look, and then we're going back into this beautiful yellow and going to make it nice and bright. You might have noticed when I was lining out these baby flowers that in some of them I added a third and a fourth petal. Again, this is just to break it down a little and make it look like you know, just a little different really, so it doesn't look like the same flower, like identical flower. So here I'm going to mix up a slightly more earthier green, and for that I am going to go into this green here, which looks nice and kind of muddy. That's a perfect green. That's the exact green that I had in mind. But again, I will mix them up just a tiny little bit so that I don't have exactly the same green on 3 leaves when they're next to each other. So for that I will go into something which is already mixed up here. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a little dirt on the palette. And then just dab it in a couple of places. And maybe just a touch of yellow here and there, just to bring this leaf up a little. So that's our second. Third, I will probably go into a... oh, there is this color here. Let's try this one. This is, what is this one? Lavender by Daniel Smith. So it's quite milky, and so this is our purple. Into there, I might add this intense purple as well, just into the, right in the center. Mind you, when you're using a color that's quite sort of milky, it doesn't mix very well, but it sort of has a funny reaction to other things. Now I'm thinking of this color here. So here I'm going to do it yellow, but I want some purple on top. So for that, I'm going to create another yellow flower next to it. And I want some beautiful, intense purple. Now yellow and purple, they don't mix very well, so it might be very tricky to create that look. So you'll have to wait a little bit until it's sort of dried, and make sure you really load the pigment or the brush with the pigment and have very little water and just a little bit or quite a lot of the pigment, and then yeah, it's not screwing purple at the minute, so I'll just leave it like that. And then here I will create maybe another purple. Okay, I'll go back into this. This is going to be quite intense purple. And then back into green. I like my green to be quite intense. I don't like it watered out, so if I have a nice color, then I like it to be quite obvious. So here we go. So that's that. This side is done. Now onto this side. I still have a bit of green, so I'm just going to, instead of wasting it and washing it from the brush, I think I'm just going to finish up these greens. Although that's something I wouldn't really recommend doing it, because then, you know, you don't know what color the flowers will be, so you might need to like adjust it or something, but I would recommend to leave the green like to the last step, really. But anyways, it is what it is. Okay, so that's that. Then this one, I actually want a nice orange. What is this? This is a very bright orange. And this Schmincase transparent. No, I need to mix it up. Okay, so I'm going to mix it up and make it a bit more... What's this now? That's better. It's a little bit more natural. I'll try to put a little bit of this. Yeah, that's it. So a bit of that milky shell pink kind of will make it a bit more smoother and less fiery. I love Schmincase transparent orange, but it's great. It's a beautiful color on its own, but it's quite hard to work on like flowers, because in nature things are a little bit more subdued and not as vibrant as that color is on its own. So I'm just doing this, and now it's looking purple, but I will have to repeat this orange somewhere else, so it's a bit more connected. So I might do it just here or there, probably these two. I'll do that as well. Just changing up the tone a little bit, adding a bit more of that milky pink, and that creates a lovely color here. It's more of a like a peach, really. And then maybe even a little more pink into there. See what we get. What do we have now? So this is more of a pink now. Well, let's try that. That's a nice color. So this flower is like halfway there because I stamped it off the page. The aim here is not to have the same color like the same color repeated, but you do want to have a bit of connection to the flowers, which helps to mix them like that and have that similarity between them, at least a little. And the other thing you can do is just then go into that orange on its own and just dab it, so it's going to naturally mix a little into the color, but it will kind of pull towards here, if that makes sense. And again, Watercolour looks great with a bit of a dab of that color, like here in some of these cases. Okay, so that's that. Let's now try to put that purple over the yellow that has dried up like this, so we kind of see a bit more of the yellow, the purple. Okay, that looks a bit better. And then over here I'll probably put a touch of that orange like that, and then blend it out. You don't want any harsh edges with this one. And then this one needs something as well. Maybe I'll put a bit of that darker color, that would look nice. I've seen them like that, the yellow and the burgundy. Looks lovely. So that's the trick with the pansies, is to add a bit of that wash onto them, so the faces, you kind of highlight them, and try to do it throughout all of them. So again, mixing up the colors a little. So this one I'll do a little bit here as well, like that, and blend the harsh edge. That's it. Okay, and then this one needs some purple as well. So it's easier to do sometimes when it has dried and then just blend it out rather than making it mix on the paper, because like I said, you could see that some of the colors create a bit more mud than color. So just let it happen. Okay, so those are our pansies. They're coming to life, and looking at this pansy, still a little bit, I feel like I still want to tone it down a touch. So I'll try to go in with this shell pink and add a little bit of this color here. I think that was quinacridone deep gold. See if I can just change the tone of it a little. There we go, I think that's a bit better. Now over here I'm going to go into, this color needs to be somewhat repeated somewhere else here, so probably these two flowers. Okay, so I'm going to do that, the visual triangle. Let it dry, and then I'll have to go over it a little. So then this one I wanted yellow again. So this one would have to be purple then, again, to create a visual triangle. Don't force it with the visual triangle, you don't have to follow that rule, but sometimes if you're not sure of what color you want to add there, just have a look of what you have already there, and that will help you decide. Go back into this color here. And then into that quinacridone, just in some places. Okay, and then that's going to be this lovely color here. So although this is quite colorful, there is still a specific color theme to it. So I'm not using every single color on my palette here, but kind of putting them down with more of a limited color palette rather than just anything that I would like. So in essence we have oranges, yellows and purples, which all look quite beautiful together, and that's what we're doing. So I'm just going to darken a couple of these, and then I'm also going to put this darker purple. So again, just adding it here. Here is not too risky because this color blends out quite nicely, or actually moves into each other quite nicely, so it's not that critical. And then finally the green bits around here. So I'm going to go into sap green, and more of a classic green for me, which I really love because I can just use it most of the time out of the pan because I like my greens to look this juicy. Such a great convenience color that, you know, you don't have to mix it up if you use it very often. And then so that's it. The only thing that's left is just to add a little bit of purple into these guys, and possibly break it up here a little as well with something a bit darker, but I don't know what yet. I wonder if I add a little bit of this, is that going to ruin it? Yeah, that kind of doesn't really work. So if something doesn't work, you can lift it up, that's okay. Just wash off your brush and lift it. So I'm going to use a heat gun quickly to blow these dry and then add a bit of purple on top. Okay, so we are now almost there. So what I'm going to do next is take that purple. My brush needs to be moderately wet, so not too much, and then just add it on top right here, like so. I'll also do the same here. And I think I will leave this one as it is. So this needs to be blended out just on the edges. If there is too much of that purple puddle, again just lift it a little and guide it where you need it to guide. For blending, you want minimal water on your brush. That's it, like that. Okay, that looks good to me. So that is it. So that's your Pansy Meadow border, and like I said, you could go ahead and I just noticed something here. There's a little bit of water spritzing. So you could add a bit of face stamping to it, or you could do anything else. You could, you know, mix with other colors. You could add some greenery, other illustrations. The world is your oyster, really. So that is it for today. It's a nice and cheerful and happy page. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. See you soon.